evening, and welcome to another episode of the Power Half Hour Unstoppable Business Owner. And tonight's episode is sponsored by Secrets in Depth by author Dr. Joseph Dottore. Definitely a book that you want to get your hands on. It is filled with suspense, and is it really factual or not? That's up to you to decide. So get your copy today on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. As well as we're also a proud sponsor of Camaraderie Rescue Mission. And we have a summer raffle going on right now, folks. So definitely go to www.tcrmi.org/shop to purchase your ticket today. Value it at for $7,500. Yours today for $100. And with that, I am going to bring on a very special guest. I'm going to bring on to the stage Major Mike Murray. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. I am honored to know you here. And I'm also going to bring up the amazing Dr. Royster, because she's just amazing as well. I love having all this greatness on my show. Like, seriously. So, Major Mike, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, so I'm a retired Marine infantry officer, retired in 2014. I was basically put out due to injuries in 2014 to 18 and a half years. Then I'm currently a GS employee for the Marine Corps. I work in Virginia Beach at Fort Story. I train advisors that go overseas, and then I'm the founder and president of Liberty Organization for Veterans and Emergency Responders. And in my spare time, I sing in a band.
Sing in a band? I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wrote a song, you published it. It was amazing. Yeah.
Wow.
It's really good.
Okay, so since, we are eventually going to be the Oprah show, Oprah's number one rule is if you can sing, you should sing on the show. So I think we should have that.
I can't sing without the rest of the OGs. they would be disappointed.
But his song is available to download on his website. Just saying.
Yeah. So we wrote the song. Yeah, we wrote a song. It's called Till Valhalla. We worked with Hear the Hope, another organization, with another person who Toby Christensen. So it was a poem. He helped me put it to music, and then we recorded it. Janelle sang some backups. She's actually trained vocally, and we have it on our page. It's $1 per download, and all the money goes right back to Liberty Organization for Vets and Emergency Responders, and we use that money to help as many as we can.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, Janelle or Dr. Royster, you didn't tell us about that. You didn't tell us you're a backup singer on top of everything else you do. So sometimes you got to keep that stuff a secret, eh? Sorry, I lost my sheet.
Get together and we'll find out.
Yes, my dear, it's coming soon to a place near you. All right. So tell us a little bit what LibertyOVE is all about.
So we started in January of 2021. I started out by helping a neighbor. He was an elderly gentleman, and he had a huge tree fall on his house, and it destroyed his roof, which it eventually led to condemning of his house. And then we got him out of the house and into an apartment. But we removed that tree. And from there, it just kind of took off. I did a couple of fishing trips, and then I started meeting other people in this world, in the nonprofit world, helping vets and first responders. I came across Scott, and then across Janelle. I went through the protocol. Scott put me through the first time, and then Janelle fixed me completely. And that's when I decided that, taking on the trauma recovery intervention protocol trip would be the focus of the nonprofit, as well as replicating those who can give trip to folks.
Great. That's awesome. So how many veterans have you helped with the trip protocol?
Since September of 21, we've helped right about 250.
Awesome. Since September. That's awesome. Wow. So how did you
And it probably just went up. I can see by the smug look on Janell's face. She's like, well, I didn't tell you. I got,
Since she's told me she's been seeing an obscene amount of people per day,
Yes.
I'm sure those numbers have gone up since the last count, for sure.
Yeah, I worked with 47 veterans, police officers, and emergency responders last week. So, yes.
Wow.
So my numbers are probably off.
Yes.
And I will tell you that I talked last night to the Combat Veterans Motorcycle Club in Colonial Heights, Virginia, and I know of at least 2 folks that are probably, right then and there, they're like, where's that link at? hit what button? It's the Get Help Now button on LibertyOVE.com, and we will get you right in the chute, and we will get one of 40 volunteer practitioners to get a hold of you and put you through the process.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about this process, because I've heard about it, and I've heard it works amazing wonders, and I've heard that you can go from having PTSD to then being completely free of it in a matter of minutes. So this is too good, and why does the world not know about it?
Yeah, correct. Which is why we need everybody's help in getting the word out. So I'm gonna give you how. Let's do this. Let's tell you how I manifested PTSD, how it was affecting my life, how I felt when I went through the process, how I'm living now, and then I'll let Janell give the science behind it. Okay. So PTSD, a lot of, I was talking last night to these guys, and I'm looking around the room and I can see guys that are full of PTSD. Right. And at this point, they don't know how they manifested. So I know that I personally manifested my PTSD and workaholism. I also had chronic pain after my medevac and surgeries, drug addiction, opioid addiction. I went through it twice, really went through a non-opioid addiction, which is weird. Tramadol, which wasn't, I went through that addiction, went through, anger, hyper alertness. I mean, until Janell cleared me, if I went into a restaurant, I literally would go to the back. I would get my place. I would put my back to somewhere, and then I would literally go check every exit in that place. And I could tell you everybody at a bar, what they were doing, if they had a knife, any of that. I was just like, ugh. Right. So I was living, in what I call, in my day job, I was living in the red because I was always ready to go. I would speed around. I would get angry in traffic. I mean, you name it. I mean, I was just on a short fuse. I didn't sleep. I was having bad dreams. I was having probably 3 sleepless nights a week, and then catching up on the weekends, and then your body's going to tell the tale of that. And it was just wearing me out. I was gaining weight. I was, not exercising, depression. Some days I'd lay around all day. So when Scott put me through, I kind of had Scott, I invited Scott came all the way from Florida to Virginia to see me. And he I was like, well, yeah, come do this protocol thing. You do this voodoo garbage you're talking about, dude. And then I'll cook you dinner and I'll send you on your way. And, I'll be nice Christian, feed you and send you home. Right. So Scott puts me through the protocol, and, I think it was the next day, or I called him or texted him that afternoon and said, hey man, I don't think we're going to make it. He did, my brother and I both, and we were both asleep. And we woke up at the time he was supposed to be there. And the only reason I woke up because I was in a panic that Scott was coming and we hadn't started cooking. So, and then, I met Dr. Royster, Janell, and then she kind of realized that once probably wasn't enough for my severity. And she came to my house, sat on my porch. I propped my feet up and had a cup of coffee. And was like, yeah, sure. Do that voodoo thing. And so that time was astronomically different in terms of, so when I went through that process, it was a little more in depth. It was a little longer. And I had a safe color, and my safe color was blue. And when it was over, I tried to stand up, and I started having blue explosions in my eyeballs and in my brain. And she literally had to catch me because I was falling down. I was losing my balance. And I went in and slept, and I think I slept 12 hours. And since the second clearing for me, my anger is gone. My focus is better. My emotional control, self-awareness is just complete. I'm not hyper alert. So a lot of times when you have that, when you suffer from that hyper alertness, once you get triggered, you can't come back down. You can't regulate. My regulation is 100 times better. Just everything is, if she could do the same thing for a TBI, I probably would never stutter and forget lyrics. But
I'm working on that, sir.
So manifested, I manifested it in different ways, and then all of that's gone. I have so much more control and focus now, and I'm just grateful. So when that happened to me, that's when I said, hey, I went to Scott and her and said, look, this is it. We've got to get this out. And then when I found out they had a curriculum where we could actually go out and train this to folks, I'm like, okay, so now the goal is not how many people we can clear, it's how many people we can train to clear other people, because Janell might be able to clear 100, but if I can create 100 Janells who clear 100, that's where it's at.
Could you imagine 100 Janells? Like, this world would be set on fire.
Well, we're
Wonder Woman here.
Joe Cat.
Wonder Woman.
Hey, we only need 99 more. Actually, 98, because I've got Scott. I could keep counting. So I will tell you that last week, so we trained the Portsmouth and Chesapeake Police and a couple of veterans and a veteran wife a few weeks ago. One of the most exciting things that I think has happened during my time doing this work was a Navy SEAL's wife went through the training. She had trauma herself. She went through the process. She became a believer, and she said, I need to learn how to do this. She was so traumatized. She had very little self-confidence, but she took on her first client who she was a very traumatized person herself, right? So she didn't just step in JV and like, oh, you saw a car wreck? Let's go through the process. She grabs a bad case, walks them through, and the girl comes back, going, oh my God, I can't believe the results. So now Tawny is full on board, ready to go and give trip to as many people as she can.
Which, to me, that's wonderful. After to see about perhaps doing it myself, like being a trainer, like let's bring this shit to Canada. Let's make this international. That's why everybody wants to be my friend, because then they can say, oh, well, we're international now. Seriously though. I love that. So tell us the science behind it, Doctor.
Well, I'm going to break it down and make it a little easier, but I did another training, and I trained, one of the guys was a fireman, and he's gung-ho. He's worked with like 5 people already. It's been like 4 days. So yeah, he's doing exceptional. I'm just, I'm excited. The process is derivative work of, neuro-linguistic programming, just like EMDR and ART. It's just a different form, a different way. It can be done in about 5 minutes, if that. I mean, we've condensed it significantly. Scott and I wrote the curriculum, and he has an RTM background, which really helped kind of break things down a little bit better. Plus, like he said earlier, he is a retired chief, and he kind of speaks the lingo. I get into doctor talk sometimes, and I have to reel myself in because I get really excited about the brain science. Basically, the amygdala is your fight, flight, freeze, or fold. Okay, it's like a Brita filter. And what happens is when you have an event that's attached to a negative emotion, fear, sadness, anger, shame, guilt, hurt, it gets attached to the event, and they lock in together instantaneously when the event happens. So for me, I was frustrated because I got diagnosed with complex PTSD. I went through, all kinds of traditional therapies. I was on 12 medications at once. Like, I was seeing stars and birds, and like people are like, oh, just take this one. It'll offset, and it's just terrible, right? You don't want to live like that. I am medication free. Took a long time, but I did it. And I learned that you can disconnect those negative emotions as quickly from that event as you can that it happened. And that's what I didn't understand as I went through my education. But the amygdala is like a Brita filter. It attaches the negative emotion to the event, and then it shrinks, right? Like a raisin. And what happens is nothing else can get through there to be processed. And we take in 2 million megabytes of data a day. So when we hit REM sleep, all that information gets processed in the brain, whether it's the hippocampus region, whether it's the cerebellum, the cerebrum, everywhere in our brain that stores long-term and short-term information. The Brita filter is closed, right? It's not open. There's no water getting through there, which means there's no data getting through there, which means we can't process that information. And it presents itself in PTSD symptoms, irrational thoughts, emotional flashbacks, hypervigilance. All of those PTSD symptoms are coming alive because the brain is going, hey, I need a tool to empty this filter because this information is continuously reminding me that this filter is not empty. And in order to keep you safe, which is what the amygdala's job is, it has to be emptied. And that's what TRIP does. It disconnects the negative emotions from the events.
Got it.
That pretty good?
That's awesome.
Well, I connected with Mike because he's a Marine, and that made me a little nervous, right? Because, Marines are Marines are Marines. And, I served 17 years with one Marine. I was a little nervous about talking to another one, right? But I met him, and he was like the most heart-loving, compassionate individual, bar none. Like, this man is just here to serve all day, every day. And it's amazing to see him work. It's amazing to see the passion that flows out of him when he talks about, his character and what LibertyOVE stands for. And I mean, LibertyOVE is his heartbeat, right? How can you not be a part of that?
Absolutely. I just want to say hi to our guest here, Alex. I know it's Alex. She says Facebook user. If I can get this thing to work. Okay, it was up there. It's gone. Anyways, just wanted to give a shout out to our Alex. She's awesome. So what 3 things would you say you had to overcome, Mike, to get to where you're at right now in everywhere you're at, whether that be from?
Yeah. So I would. So look, I grew up in my brother and I, our father died when we were 2. And my mom, I had 2 stepfathers who were both alcoholics, and one was also pretty much a drug addict and very abusive. So childhood abuse, a lot of really bad stuff when we were kids. Some other abuses as a child, and then the traumas of, I turned all of that into, I was an angry kid, let's put it that way, but I turned all that into athletic success, basically hid in the athletic world, found some success, got a wrestling scholarship and went to college. And then I will tell you that always wanted to be a Marine, got out, was a school teacher for a while and a wrestling coach. And then I figured I better go in the Marine Corps now. I was enlisted in the reserves at the time, took my commission, became an infantry officer. And of course, after multiple deployments, you all the things that I've seen doing that, and all of that just compounded. And then it culminated really in 2012 when I had been I didn't know it at the time, but I had been combating a labral tear in my hip for about 4 or 5 years. But Marine Corps kept deploying me. So they were like, yeah, there's nothing wrong. Just put some ice on it. Ibuprofen in a canteen of water. So in Afghanistan, I ended up blowing 3 discs out of my neck running from an IED explosion. I hit the roof of the top of an SUV and got medevac to Bethesda. And as soon as they did my neck, I was on 30 days convalescent leave, went back to work the first day and my hip locks up. They had to take me back to the hospital. And they said, oh, well, your hip is all messed up. You need a new, we need to do a surgery on your hip. And I was like, awesome, let's get it done. And they were like, we can't, 11 months because we just, opened up your spinal cord. So I was on crutches for 11 months with all that pain, which is how I really got into the opioid sort of issue the first time. And then afterwards, when they did the hip surgery, they botched it. It was an accident, just random thing, clipped a nerve and separated the hip too far. And so I'm stuck with a slight limp and some chronic pain. And so that was that was a challenge. I left very angry because I wanted to stay in the Marine Corps. I thought I was going to be a lieutenant colonel, battalion commander, and all that stuff, and I was just mad because they put me out. So I would tell you, coming from the world, the biggest struggle I think I've had in my life, and I still, it's not so much today, has been with myself, my own ego. And it's because I built myself into this person who could do these amazing physical and mental things. And then, you're left, from a self-esteem standpoint, you're dealing with a bunch of shame because you have all this trauma, but at the same time, you think you're this superhuman. And now you're standing next to other people that you think are superhuman in the gym that are 10 years younger than you, that used to be able to do what they do, but you can't. And you're like, I'm going to do it anyway. Right. So, learning learning my new norms and stuff like that. I mean, that was just a huge struggle because I would just become angry. I was constantly talking to myself, and that can lead to depression. I'm not who I was. I'm broken. I'm blah, blah, blah. I feel so sorry for myself. And until I actually dealt with the traumas and got cleared, I will tell you that those thoughts literally dominated. They dominate your world. You can say they don't, but they pop up every time somebody, every time you have an emotional incident where somebody gets you going, those things roll through your brain. And if people are honest with themselves, they remember them and they talk to themselves in their head and they're like, you're no good. And, and I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I've gone almost to that, the edge twice. And I will never do it again because now I don't have those intrusive thoughts that make me think that way. Now I have thoughts that say, you've got to get this to everybody. If it can keep me from doing that, then I want to help it. You can bring down I think we can bring down suicide rates. It's at 28 a day right now with the veterans, and 1 in 4 first responders has some sort of trauma. I think we can bring down those suicide rates by getting tripped to as many people as we can, because it will make their lives better and it will actually allow them to see how they're supposed to be living versus how they're living now, manifesting traumas. Like they're trying to, this is what they think is normal versus what can be normal.
So I'm asked to ask you about Strider.
Okay, so Strider is my service dog. He helps me. So I still have some pretty bad nerve shocks. I don't do anything quick anymore. Let's put it that way. I don't cut or dive or dodge. I don't dodge any dodgeballs or wrenches now. So he helps me get up when I go down, and he's with me all the time. And he's a beautiful 110-pound, 21-month-old Rhodesian Ridgeback. And he thinks he is a human being, and he rides in the truck next to me and looks at me and smiles and tells me when to put the window down for him. And sometimes he'll lock me out of the truck. Yeah.
Not just him.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That is so cool. So you guys have an event coming up too, don't you?
Yeah. So we have a huge event coming up in September the 24th at Richmond Harley-Davidson in Ashland, Virginia. We have a Creed Fisher concert that evening. We have music all day. My band starts today at noon, and then we have a band called Ladysmith. They will play after my band. And in between, so I sold my house, and I'm living in an RV to try to help, get some money to help fund the nonprofit. And I move in, and my neighbor turns out to be a young lady named Polly Wyndham. Polly Wyndham has several albums for Polly Wyndham Music, so she has agreed to come up and play acoustically whenever the bands take a break and be the, right before Creed Fisher. We have a motorcycle ride, and we're expecting about, anywhere from 300 to 500 riders for the motorcycle ride. We have multiple nonprofits coming, the Disabled Veterans Auxiliary, the VFW, the American Legion. We have the Service Recruiters coming. Oh, I'm sorry, RWB is coming. And then Tiki 50, I have to give big kudos. So it is a concert series they run there. And Tiki 50 runs the concert series to help fund what they do for police. we're partnered with them on this event because, there will be alcohol there, and they're going to handle all that for us, and they have all the equipment to help us. They're going to help us run it. RWB has stepped up to help us do the run, ruck, walk part of it. I've got 50 volunteers coming from the U.S. Army at Fort Lee to help clean up and set up and run the events. Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears is going to be there. She's going to give a speech. And I don't know if you know who Sam Royer is. He's probably somebody you might want to look up. So he has a bill out that is basically a VA type loan that is for first responders specifically to help give, home relief to first responders. So he wants the same kind of benefit for them that we get with so many years of service. And he's going to come, and his group's going to come. We have several good sponsors. It's going to be a good time had by all. And it's growing. This thing keeps growing. And so that's why I would tell you, Scott and I are we're both working day jobs. And then Janell's over there, healing people left and right. And Scott and I are party planning behind the scenes all day long, going back and forth with different folks, just trying to make this thing happen. It's actually a lot of work. But hey, it's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to happen. I still need 4 food vendors if anybody's watching.
There you go. 4 food vendors in Virginia.
Yeah.
Also, I want to add something real quick. The training that we did in Norfolk is going to be on TV. They come out. They were nice enough to come out and interview us. It'll be on Channel 10, Wavy TV at 6 p.m. tomorrow night. So that'll be cool.
6 p.m. tomorrow night, Channel 10.
Yep.
Awesome. Wow. Well, I would say that I'd be there, but I'm not 100% sure if I could make that. But I will try my best to get to Virginia for September 24th, and maybe we can cover some of that too, or I'll have somebody on the ground that can.
So let me throw in real quick too. So a friend of mine is we're gonna be on Fox News the week before, which I'm not sure what that is. The 17th, I guess. Mm-hmm. The weekend show to help promote this. And there is a chance that they will bring the weekend show to the event because there's so many other nonprofits involved. Scott and I actually had a talk last night. I was like, dude, we need to come up with a spreadsheet so I know how many of these 10 by 10 spaces, or we're going to end up, everybody at the concert is going to have a 10 by 10.
Yeah, so, I'm bringing a couple with me.
Yeah. So and why, and I'm going to tell everybody on here why we do that. So we have a thing on there, and this relates to you guys and one of your sponsors, Camaraderie Rescue Mission, right? So I started out doing recreational therapy. However, when I took on trip, I'm like, I would rather Greg Bicknell do, Camaraderie, do the fishing trip and give me access to the client. So you take them fishing, but let me clear them either before or after. Let me make their experience better. Right. I've reached out to several groups. You can buy somebody a home, you can take them fishing, you can do whatever. It all helps. We are only one of multiple solutions, but I don't care what you do for them. If you don't fix their brain, you're not changing the way they live forever.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. Yeah. We have a board meeting on next Monday. We'll bring it into the meeting. Yeah.
So on our webpage, we call it Liberty Nation. When you support us, we support you. I mean, if we could get 5% of us all working in the same direction, we could probably do more than the VA hospital system. You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
Mike,
who do I know at Fox News? Oh, yeah. Who do you know?
Who do I know? So Pete Hegseth worked for me for a year in Afghanistan. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, he still calls me sir.
We should have him on the show.
Yeah, he still calls me sir, and I tell him all the time, I'm like, look, I think you kind of surpassed me on that. Maybe I should call you sir now because you're famous and whatnot. You got gel in your hair there, Pete. But.
Well, doesn't he have a new book out or something?
Yeah, he does have a new book.
And coming to the event?
Yeah, so he's trying to move a book signing, but some of the dates have already been set. So he's trying to work it out. I will tell you when I was a high school teacher, Mickie James from the WWE, pro wrestler, she was champion, she's got her own doll and stuff. She was one of my students, and her sister was my wrestling manager. And Mickie was trying to be there, but she's got to be in Philly that day. So next year she's like, I'm all in, you know, and I'm going to pull in the WWE with me on this thing. So, and earlier this year, Pete hooked us up with John Rich. John Rich also, like, we'll text back and forth every once in a while. Folds of Honor.
Loves talking to Mike. He'll talk to Mike all day. He loves talking to Mike. He even mentioned it in the video we did.
So he's a big Folds of Honor guy, and we put a plaque up in his bar, and we just kind of, to be honest with you, him and I really talk about what's going on in the world, but I have invited Folds of Honor to come as well. Wow. Free spot, any nonprofit. You know, if you're helping veterans or first responders, come there, tell people what you do. If I can get a chance, I'll get you up on stage. Let's talk about what you do. You know, and then we will use the money and spread it across to help do our work in conjunction with your work.
Okay, so an event of this size, obviously there needs to be some fundraising going on with this, because I mean, nobody does anything for free nowadays, which is understandable. I'm not putting anything down. So how can people help you with that? Where can they go to send you the money to get this event?
So if they just email either Scott.Hendrick or Michael.Murray, Muray, or admin@LibertyOVE.com, we will start the conversation, and we have levels of, there's a bronze, silver, and gold level of sponsorship. We've already got a couple of sponsors that are throwing in money. We have some folks who don't want to throw in money, but they want to throw in product, Viking bags, motorcycle bags called Scott talked to them today. And they're these beautiful covers that cover different parts of a motorcycle while you're riding to decorate the motorcycle and stuff. And I didn't know who they were. I'm ashamed to say. And I asked somebody I asked the CVA meeting last night, and they're all like, "Hey, yeah, man, Viking bags." I was like, "Oh, okay, so it's a legit company. Cool." Cardomax supplements, Cardomax. They're a new hydration company here in Virginia Beach. A friend of mine, the owner is actually a veteran. He went to VMI, way behind me. He's a young man. But we actually took him fishing, and now he wants to become a full-time sponsor of us, and as well as probably Mattbox, his other company. So, I mean, this thing needs to grow. We're hoping that it grows rapidly. You know, one of the things that detracts in the fundraising world is you have to get that A rating. So there are a lot of companies that don't want to donate to a nonprofit in the first 5 years because they don't have that A or B rating. You know, the larger companies, the big money, and I think that's sort of a detractor, right? Because it makes you struggle the first 5 years, which is when you really need the help, right? So I think we're going to grow, and I think it's because of the product. I don't think it's because of, if nothing else, I will tell you that we have more police forces now reaching out, and the more we train, the more they reach out. And that's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So I got Your Six Foundation. It's a foundation out of Florida. There's actually two of them. So there's an I Got Your Six Foundation. And that one, they do adventure therapy. So we work with them, and then they go whitewater rafting or jumping out of a plane, or, you know, something exciting, crazy. Because, you know, the military, we all want to keep that adrenaline pumping, right? And Sworn to Serve is actually connected with us through Scott, because they serve together, because it's veteran owned. And he sells apparel, and we get a percentage of the apparel. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Ty, Sworn to Serve. If Ty, if you're on here, we'll see you the 24th. He's coming. He's bringing a lot of product, and you know, the more he succeeds, the more we succeed. So
absolutely.
Like I said, we will work with any nonprofit or for-profit agency as long as they are client focused. Right now, the only people we do not get paid. We are volunteers. We volunteer at this, and I want to always want to keep as much money going to the client as is humanly possible. I do have a vision of where I want to take this, but I think it's probably a 10-year vision. we'll see.
So you need to speak with my business partner, Kimberly. Yes. We will off air have a conversation with Kimberly one day. I will connect. We will have a 4-way conversation, the 4 of us. And we'll talk about how nonprofits should be nonprofit, and we'll change your mind, because you can help more people if you're making money.
Yeah. I'm not saying we don't need to make money. We sell T-shirts and hats and all that stuff. I'm just saying that the profit that, the purpose of the nonprofit and the bulk of the money that's, let's put it this way. We know that there are nonprofits out there where the CEO of a nonprofit that happens to be a large company is making $500,000. Yeah. Not Mike Murray. When I established this, I had an agreement with those that I established it with and said, nobody in this nonprofit, if you're a retired military person, there is no reason, no matter how big we get, Mike Murray will never draw a paycheck over $100,000. The only person that should make more than $100,000 is a doctor who is fulfilling, that you can't get unless you pay more than that, or like the accountant person that you're not going to get, some service that you have to pay for you're just not going to get them for less than that. It's just, it makes no sense to me to have, I don't need to drive a BMW. What I need to do is help as many. I'll be honest with you. I met Jesus Christ in 2007, didn't know how I was going to fulfill his cause. And in 2021, I figured it out because one of my buddies called me, and then I called Pete. And he said, son, you need to put your faith in action. It's literally stamped on the back of this cross, and I wear it every single day. And that's what it's about, right? So
Absolutely.
Redemption.
Absolutely. Well, we're past the half hour, so I don't want to take up too much of your time. I want to thank everybody that was in the comments. There are some people there. Plus, there's always the replay. Like, people are always, this is out there now for the world to see. And it is also going to be on our podcast. It will be uploaded by the end of the week too. So more people, the more ears and eyes we can get on this is absolutely amazing. We will definitely continue to promote the 24th event for you. And we will definitely, I'm sure we'll probably have you back on. I mean, Janell's, this is her second appearance, but who knows? Maybe she might come back on with Scott. I heard Scott has a story too. So
he has an amazing story.
Yeah. You think you got me going. Wait till you get a hold of Scott. You can't get us both in the same room because, you're like, yeah.
It's like this.
I love a challenge. Awesome. Anyways, so thank you so much, Major Mike, for coming on and sharing your experience, and thank you for your service, and thank you, Dr. Janell, for your service. I can definitely see that. Yes, I want to talk to you about taking the trip protocols and seeing if we can help our Canadian veterans as well. Right now, I've been more focused on my Americans.
We do offer trainings via Zoom and face-to-face. We have a training coming up the 25th and 26th. So it's pretty cool.
Okay. Perfect. Because I would like to, help my fellow Canadians. And when you guys talk about the Legion, I'm like, well, I used to spend many of Friday nights at the Kingsville Legion. I mean, I think every Friday night we went. My grandfather was a past president, so spent many a nights in the Legion. So, and what better way to give back in his honor and my dad's honor, because my dad was also a member too. What better way than to help my veterans here? So.
Yeah. So just I'm a Legion member and a VFW member as well, American Legion and VFW, and we cross pollinate quite a bit. Yeah, doing different things. If I'm not doing something for Liberty, I'm probably doing something for the VFW riders. So
love it. Yes, I love all of that, and I love all my veterans that come on here.
And I love my Canadian veterans. I have several friends. I served with them for a year in Afghanistan, side by side, about 15 of them. One of them is one of my better friends. If Chris at Como, if you're listening, he's does the same thing I sort of do right now. He works with a lot of Canadian advisors because we spend so much time doing insurgency stuff. So,
Right. That's
I just
awesome.
love the way you say about.
Yeah.
Hey,
I had to say that. I had to. We've
Tim
Hortons.
Hortons. Bring up Timmy Hortons or whatever it is. Is it Timmy Hortons? Is that the
Timmy
place?
Hortons, two
Yeah,
euros. Yeah. You can all keep your Dunkin' Donuts.
I love it.
Well,
Well, that's okay.
Thank you so much for having us on. Now that it's become the Power Half Hour plus 10 minutes, and hey, anytime I'm more than welcome to come back.
When Dr. Janell's on, like her episode was like almost 50 minutes, so. Because
Awesome.
she didn't talk about herself. She talked about all her organization she belongs to. It wasn't about Dr. Janell. It was about everybody that she serves and helps.
It never is. It's not about me. It's about the clients.
I get that, but we want to honor you. You know, I'm gonna have an awards night and just honor all my veterans. I'm gonna have. Oh, look what you put in the space. I love it.
That is awesome.
I am going. Well, there's so many. Like, I've done what, 20 episodes with veterans in the last year. In the last 6 months. What is 8 months? Yeah. In the last 8 months, I've done at least 20 shows with my veterans and first responders. So I got it, and they keep coming. Like, they keep coming, which is amazing. I love all of them. So I got to do something special. We'll figure it out.
Out. Yes.
Out. Peace out. Anyways, so with that, don't forget September 24th is the big event in Virginia, and you can get all that information on your website, Mike.
Yes, LibertyOVE.com.
Perfect. And if somebody wants to contact you, where do they go?
They can go right onto the webpage, and there's a contact button on there. Our address and our phone number are all up there, as well as our EIN.
We also have a need help button, so if somebody's struggling, they can reach right out. We'll get to them.
Yes.
So with that new 988 thing, is that just in the States or is that?
So let's talk about 988. Now you got me going. Here we go. So here's what's going to happen with 988. 988 was a law. It was passed, and they finally got funding. So all of the suicide hotlines, right? Because I'm trying to get in on this right now. The 988 hotline is basically what it's going to do is a veteran picks up the phone and they hit 988 instead of any of these old suicide hotlines or helplines, and they will be vectored to a set of either, the VA or nonprofits who have services to talk them off the ledge. Mm-hmm. Liberty OVE needs to get some funding so that we can not only talk them off a ledge, we can Zoom their butts and get them cleared and get them back on a path. Like, that's what I'm working on right now. So, and that's one of the things that Lieutenant Governor Sears is going to talk about, because Governor Youngkin here in Virginia says he wants to make Virginia, and so does Ron DeSantis down there in Florida, the most veteran-friendly state. You want to make it a veteran-friendly state, then they need to unclog the funding to the nonprofits that actually can provide services. So if anybody's watching, I think you need to go back and read the American Rescue Plan. There was supposed to be money in the American Rescue Plan for first responder training. However, when the money was allocated from the federal level to apply for grants, it turned into local support money. Let's buy needles. Let's put money into homeless shelters. Let's put, none of that money went to the actual, police forces. It actually went to the societies and social programs that the police serve, with the intent of, if we make these social programs, then the police will have fewer problems. So really what you did was you enabled a bunch of drug addicts and stuff and criminals, and now the police are having even a harder time, and you're watching the crime go up, and the people are leaving the force, and their suicide rates are going up, their trauma incidents are going up. We got a lot of work here in the States to do politically to help nonprofits maximize the services that they can provide. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just like, I just opened a can of whoop ass. Obviously. That's what we Canadians call a can of whoop ass. And so thank you, Major Mike, for opening the can of whoop ass. And with that, because I've got to be eating in a couple minutes, we will say thank you so much for everybody that joined us in the comments. Thank you to our amazing guests, Major Mike and Dr. Janell Royster. And Scott is in the back, but we'll have Scott on separately. And with that, stay unstoppable. And all you do, get these nonprofits to where they should be, folks. Let's help them out. Send your money to LibertyOVE.com and let's help them get this 24th of September kicked off. With that, be unstoppable and love you and see you next week.
All right. Thank you.